The wagon wheel snapped just as Olivia Lancaster's wedding dress caught fire from the overturned lantern, and she watched in horror as flames consumed the white lace her mother had spent months sewing. But by the time her screaming brought help, she could not remember why she was screaming at all. The year was 1875, and Hays City, Kansas, was a rough town on the edge of civilization where the railroad brought both prosperity and trouble in equal measure. Olivia stood in the dusty street in her undergarments and a borrowed blanket, staring at the charred remains of fabric scattered around the broken wagon, her mind blank as fresh snow. People gathered around her, asking questions she could not answer. A woman she felt she should know kept crying, touching her face, calling her daughter. The word felt foreign. "Miss, do you know your name?" The sheriff stood before her, hat in hand, concern etching lines around his eyes. Olivia opened her mouth. The sound that came out was her own voice, but the words felt borrowed. "I think so, Olivia Lancaster." Even as she said it, the name seemed to float rather than settle. "You remember what happened?" She turned to look at the wagon, at the black streaks on the ground, at the wheel lying in two pieces. "No. You were on your way to get married, child," the crying woman said, and Olivia realized this must be her mother. The face was familiar in the way a photograph might be familiar, something seen but not felt. To Thomas Whitmore, the ceremony was supposed to be this afternoon. Olivia felt nothing at this information. No excitement, no dread, nothing. She looked down at her hands, at the ring finger that bore no jewelry, and wondered what sort of person she was that she could forget her own wedding day. A man pushed through the crowd, well-dressed with slicked back hair and a thin mustache. He looked at her with an expression she could not read. "Olivia, thank God, are you hurt?" "This is Thomas," her mother said. "Your intended." Olivia studied him. He was handsome in a precise way, like a drawing in a catalogue. "I do not remember you." His face tightened. "The doctor said this might happen, the blow to your head from the accident. He said the memories would return." "What blow?" Olivia touched her head, feeling for injury but found none. "You do not remember hitting your head?" The sheriff frowned. "I remember nothing before waking up just now." The truth of it settled over her like a heavy coat. Everything before this moment was darkness. The doctor was summoned, an older man with spectacles who examined her thoroughly while she sat in a chair outside the general store. He found no wound, no bump, no sign of injury beyond some singed hair and soot-streaked skin. He pronounced it a mystery, said sometimes the mind protected itself from trauma in strange ways, assured everyone her memories would return within days at most. But they did not. Thomas Whitmore insisted they postpone the wedding only briefly. "She will remember our love," he told her mother while Olivia sat nearby, listening to them discuss her as though she were not present. "A few days, perhaps a week, then we will proceed." But Olivia could not shake the feeling that something was wrong, not with her memory but with something else. Something important. Her mother, Patricia Lancaster, took her home to a small house on the edge of town. Everything there was foreign. The bedroom that was supposedly hers felt like a stranger's space. The clothes in the wardrobe did not seem like things she would choose. The diary on the bedside table was filled with handwriting she recognized as her own but words that felt like lies. She read about her courtship with Thomas, about their planned life together, about the ranch he was preparing for them. The words were proper, carefully chosen. There was no passion in them, no fire. They read like a business ledger. That night, she lay awake, trying to force memories to surface. Nothing came, only a vague sense of unease and the feeling that she was forgetting something vital with each passing moment. The next morning, her mother found her standing in the kitchen, staring at the stove. "Olivia, are you all right?" I was making coffee, Olivia said slowly. But now I cannot remember why I came to the kitchen. Patricia's face fell. Oh, darling, the doctor said this might happen. Some confusion while you heal. But it was not confusion. It was as though thoughts slipped through her fingers like water. She would begin a task and lose the thread of it. She would walk into a room and forget her purpose. She would start a sentence and lose the ending of it. Thomas visited that afternoon, bringing flowers. She forgot he was coming within minutes of his arrival and was startled when he appeared in the parlor. He tried to be understanding, but she could see frustration building behind his patient smile. Olivia, do you remember anything about our plans? He sat across from her, his posture perfect, his tone careful. No. She wished she could give him more, but there was nothing. We were going to live on my ranch. I have 200 acres, good cattle, a new house being built. You were excited about choosing furniture. That sounds nice. The words were empty. She felt nothing. Do you remember how we met? No. Do you remember agreeing to marry me? No. His jaw tightened. Do you remember anything about us? I am sorry, but no. I do not even remember who I am, really. I only know my name because people tell me. He stood abruptly. The doctor assured me this was temporary. I hope he is right. After he left, Patricia sat beside her, taking her hand. Thomas is a good man, Olivia. He will provide well for you. This match is important for our family. Why is it important? Olivia heard the genuine curiosity in her own voice. Her mother looked uncomfortable. Your father, God rest him, left us with debts. Thomas has agreed to settle them as part of the marriage arrangement. We will lose the house if you do not marry him. Something about this felt wrong, but Olivia could not articulate why. She only knew that agreeing to marry someone to settle debts did not sound like love. The days blurred together. She forgot conversations minutes after having them. She forgot meals, forgot chores, forgot appointments. Her mother grew exasperated, though she tried to hide it. Thomas grew distant, visiting less frequently, his patience wearing thin like old fabric. 2 weeks after the accident, Patricia sent her to the general store with a list. Olivia clutched the paper, repeating the items to herself as she walked. Flour, sugar, coffee, thread. Flour, sugar, coffee, thread. By the time she arrived, she had forgotten why she was holding paper. She stood in the store, staring at the shelves, trying to remember. The owner, Mr. Henderson, watched her with concern. Miss Lancaster, are you all right? I cannot remember what I need. She held out the list, embarrassed. He took it kindly, gathering the items while she waited. As he worked, the door opened, and a man entered who made every other person in the room seem smaller by comparison. He was massive, broad-shouldered and thick with muscle, his shirt straining across his chest and arms. His hair was dark and hung past his collar, tied back with a leather cord. His face was weathered and strong, with a dark beard and eyes the color of storm clouds. He moved with the confidence of someone who had never doubted his place in the world, and when those eyes landed on Olivia, she felt something shift inside her chest. Recognition. Not of who he was, but of something deeper, something right. He stopped mid-stride, staring at her with an expression she could not name. The air between them felt charged, electric, alive. Olivia. Her name on his lips was different than when anyone else said it. It sounded like a prayer. Do I know you? Her voice came out barely above a whisper. His face registered something between pain and hope. You do not remember me. I do not remember anything. There was an accident. He crossed the distance between them in 3 long strides, and she found herself looking up at him, her neck craning back. Up close, he was even more imposing. His presence filled the space, solid and warm. What kind of accident? The wagon. The fire. They say I hit my head, but there is no wound. I just cannot remember anything before waking up that day. His jaw worked, muscles flexing beneath his beard. Nothing. Nothing. He reached out slowly as though she might startle and touched her face with surprising gentleness. His hands were rough and calloused but careful. My name is Daniel Crawford. I am a trapper. I live in the mountains west of here, and you, Olivia Lancaster, were not supposed to marry Thomas Whitmore. The certainty in his voice made her heart race. What do you mean? You were supposed to marry me. Mr. Henderson cleared his throat. Now, Crawford, that is not exactly accurate. Miss Lancaster was engaged to Mr. Whitmore. Everyone knows that. Because she did not remember promising herself to me first, Daniel said, his eyes never leaving Olivia's face. Did you read her diary? The real one, not the one her mother wants people to see. Olivia shook her head. I only saw one diary. Daniel's expression darkened. Patricia always was good at hiding things. He looked at Mr. Henderson. Put her purchases on my account. I need to talk to Olivia. I should not go anywhere with someone I do not remember, Olivia said, but even as she spoke, her feet were moving toward him. I know, and I will not force you, but I can show you things, remind you of who you really are, if you want. He held out his hand, palm up, offering. Trust your instincts, Olivia. What do they tell you? She looked at his hand, large and scarred and steady, then at his face, at the raw honesty there. Something in her chest pulled toward him like a compass finding north. They tell me you are not lying. I am not. He kept his hand extended, patient, waiting. She placed her hand in his, and the contact sent recognition singing through her bones. This was right. This was true. She did not know how she knew, but she knew. He led her outside, and she saw the massive horse tied there, a draft breed built for mountain work. Daniel lifted her onto the saddle as easily as if she weighed nothing, then swung up behind her. His arms came around her to take the reins, and she felt surrounded by warmth and strength and safety. Where are we going? She asked as he guided the horse out of town. Somewhere you will remember. They rode west, away from Hayes City, into the rolling prairie that gave way to rougher terrain. He did not speak, and neither did she. The silence felt comfortable, natural. She found herself leaning back against his chest, fitting into the space there as though shaped for it. After an hour, he brought the horse to a stop beside a creek lined with cottonwood trees. The spot was beautiful, peaceful, the water catching afternoon light. He dismounted and helped her down, his hand spanning her waist. You brought me here last spring, he said. You were supposed to be having a picnic with Thomas, but you got lost. I found you crying because you could not remember which direction town was. I got lost even then. The revelation was somehow comforting. You have always forgotten things, even before the accident. Little things, mostly. Where you put items, what you were supposed to do that day, names of people you just met. Your mother was always frustrated with you about it. He led her to a flat rock by the water's edge, and they sat. But I never was. Why not? Because I saw the way your mind worked. You forget small things because you are always thinking about bigger things. You notice details other people miss. The way light falls, the sound of water, the feeling of wind. You live more in the moment than anyone I have ever met because you are not weighed down by everything that came before. Tears pricked her eyes, though she could not say why. You seem to know me very well. I love you, he said simply. I have loved you since the day I found you here, lost and crying, with leaves in your hair and dirt on your dress. You looked at me like I was some kind of bear coming to eat you, and then you laughed. Do you know what you said? She shook her head. You said, if you are going to eat me, at least tell me your name first so I know what to tell St. Peter. You made a joke while terrified. That was when I knew. Knew what? That you were the bravest person I had ever met, and the kindest, and the one I wanted to spend every day with for the rest of my life. Olivia stared at the water, trying to feel the truth of his words in her bones. If that is true, why was I engaged to Thomas? Because your mother found out about us and forbade you to see me. I am just a mountain man, a trapper. I have no education, no proper prospects. Thomas is respectable, wealthy, connected. Patricia decided he was a better match. Daniel's voice carried old anger. You came to me 3 months ago and told me you had agreed to marry him. That you had to, for your mother's sake. But you promised me you would find a way out of it. You were looking for a solution when the accident happened. So I loved you but was going to marry him. You loved me and were trying to figure out how to save your mother without sacrificing yourself. You are too good, Olivia, too loyal. You would have gone through with it if you had not found another way. He took her hand, threading their fingers together. The accident, the memory loss, maybe it was your mind's way of escaping an impossible situation. That seems convenient, maybe. Or maybe it is true. Either way, you do not remember promising to marry Thomas. You do not remember the debts or the pressure. You have a chance to choose fresh without all that weight. But my mother still has debts. Thomas will still withdraw his offer if I do not marry him. Let me worry about that. Daniel squeezed her hand. I have money saved. Furs fetch good prices. I can help. You would pay off my mother's debts for a woman who does not even remember you. Yes, no hesitation. Why? Because I remember enough for both of us. And because I will remind you every day if I have to, until the memories come back or until we make new ones that matter more. He turned to face her fully. I know this is hard. I know you are scared and confused. I know forgetting things makes everything worse. But I have patience, Olivia. Endless patience. I can remind you as many times as it takes. She studied his face, this man who claimed to love her, who spoke with such certainty and tenderness. What if I never remember? Then I will tell you our story every day. I will show you the places we went, repeat the conversations we had, remind you why you loved me until it becomes true again. That sounds exhausting. Loving you could never be exhausting. He lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. It is the easiest thing I have ever done. The sun was lowering toward the horizon when he finally took her back to town. He stopped the horse a street away from her house, not wanting to cause a scene. Before she dismounted, he reached into his shirt and pulled out a small carved bird, a swallow in flight. I made this for you last spring. You kept it with you always. It was not in the burned wagon, so your mother must have it. Ask her for it. Olivia took the carving, running her thumb over the smooth wood. It is beautiful. It is yours. I will come back tomorrow if you want. We can go somewhere else and I will tell you more. I would like that. She meant it. He helped her down, his hands lingering at her waist. Sleep well, Olivia. She watched him ride away, the carved bird clutched in her hand, feeling more grounded than she had since waking with no memory. This felt real. He felt real. When she entered the house, her mother was waiting, face tight with worry. Where have you been? You have been gone for hours. I was about to send someone to look for you. I was with Daniel Crawford. Patricia's face went white, then red. You stay away from that man. Why? Because he is not suitable, because you are engaged to Thomas, because I said so. Daniel says I was in love with him before the accident. Daniel Crawford is a liar and a brute who lives like an animal in the mountains. He is trying to take advantage of your condition. Patricia grabbed her shoulders. Listen to me, Olivia. Thomas is a good man who will give you a good life. Crawford is nothing but trouble. He says he can help with the debts. With what? Animal pelts. Patricia laughed bitterly. Thomas offered real money, more than enough to cover everything and set us up comfortably. Crawford is offering you a hard life in the wilderness. You would be a fool to choose him. Maybe, Olivia pulled free, but he feels right in a way Thomas does not. That is because you do not remember Thomas properly. Give it time. He says you have something of mine, a carved bird. Patricia's face went carefully blank. "I do not know what you are talking about. He said he made it for me, that I kept it always." "Well, it is not here. It probably burned in the fire with your dress." But her mother would not meet her eyes, and Olivia knew she was lying. That night, after Patricia went to bed, Olivia searched the house. She found the carved swallow in her mother's wardrobe, wrapped in cloth and hidden beneath spare linens. She also found another diary, older and more worn than the one by her bedside. She took both items to her room and read by candlelight. The diary was hers, undoubtedly. The handwriting matched, but the tone was completely different. These entries were full of life, of emotion, of passion. She read about meeting Daniel, about falling in love with him, about the way he made her feel seen and valued despite her forgetfulness. She read about her mother's disapproval, about Thomas's proposal, about feeling trapped between duty and desire. The last entry was dated the day before the accident. "I cannot marry Thomas. I know Mother needs the money, and I know she thinks Daniel is beneath us, but I cannot live a lie. I cannot pledge myself to one man while loving another. I told Thomas today that I need more time. He was not pleased. He said he has been patient enough, that the wedding must happen soon or not at all. Mother is furious with me. She says I am ruining everything. But Daniel says he will find a way. He always finds a way. I just have to hold on a little longer. I just have to be brave." Olivia closed the diary, tears streaming down her face. She did not remember writing these words, but she felt the truth of them. She had loved Daniel Crawford. She still did, even without the memories. She slept with the carved bird under her pillow and dreamed of mountains. Daniel came back the next day, and the next, and the next. Each time, he took her somewhere different and told her stories. He showed her the meadow where they had picked wildflowers, the ridge where they had watched the sunset, the cave where they had hidden from a summer storm. He reminded her of conversations, of laughter, of stolen kisses. He never pressed, never demanded, never showed frustration when she forgot details he had told her the day before. "What did you say your name was?" she asked one afternoon, and he smiled patiently. "Daniel Crawford." "And we are in love." "Yes, I forgot again. I am sorry. Do not be sorry. I will remind you as many times as you need." Thomas visited less and less, his patience exhausted. He finally came to the house one evening, his face set in hard lines. "Olivia, we need to set a date." "I do not think I can marry you. Your mother says you are spending time with that mountain man. His name is Daniel. I do not care what his name is. You are engaged to me. We have an agreement. An agreement I do not remember making. That is not my fault." His voice rose. "I have been more than patient. I have waited while you recovered. I have accepted your condition, but I will not be made a fool. Either we marry next week or the engagement is off." "Then it is off." The words came easier than she expected. His face darkened. "You realize what this means for your mother, for her home, I know. And you are choosing that Crawford anyway, a man who can give you nothing. He can give me love. He already has." Thomas looked at her with disgust. "You always were simple-minded." "I should have known better than to settle for damaged goods." He turned to Patricia, who stood in the doorway wringing her hands. "The deal is off, Mrs. Lancaster. You have 1 month to settle your debts or the bank will take the house." After he left, Patricia sank into a chair, weeping. "How could you? How could you throw away our security for that savage? He is not a savage. He is kind and patient and good. He is poor. He cannot help us. He says he can. He has money saved." Patricia looked up, hope and suspicion warring on her face. "How much? I do not know. But he says enough." Daniel came that evening and Patricia met him at the door, arms crossed. "How much money do you actually have, Crawford? Enough to cover the debts and then some." He did not flinch under her glare. "Prove it." He pulled out a leather pouch and handed it to her. She opened it, and her eyes went wide at the gold coins inside. "This is a fortune. 5 years of trapping spent carefully. I was saving it for a house, for a life with Olivia. I will give it to you if you let her choose for herself without pressure." "That is blackmail. That is a gift. Take it, clear the debts, keep the house, but leave Olivia alone." His voice was steel wrapped in velvet. Patricia looked at the pouch, at Daniel, at Olivia. Finally, she nodded. "Fine. But if you hurt her, if you fail to provide for her, if she comes back to me begging for help, I will make your life hell." "Agreed." After Patricia retreated inside, Olivia threw her arms around Daniel's neck. "You did not have to do that." "Yes, I did." He held her close, and she felt safe in his arms, protected. "Now there is nothing standing between us, except my memory. We will work on that together." He pulled back to look at her. "Olivia, I know you do not remember everything. I know you forget things constantly, but do you feel it? Do you feel what is between us?" "Yes," she whispered. "Every time I look at you, I feel like I am coming home." "Then marry me. Not because of debts or pressure or duty. Marry me because you want to." "I do want to." She meant it with everything in her. "But Daniel, I need you to understand. I might never remember our past, and I will keep forgetting things. I will forget conversations, forget plans, forget where I put things. I will ask you the same questions over and over. I will frustrate you. You think I do not know that. You think I have not seen it already." He cupped her face in his hands. "I love all of you, Olivia, including the parts that forget. I will spend the rest of my life reminding you of everything important. What we had for breakfast, where we were going, what day it is, how much I love you. I will never get tired of it." "How can you promise that?" "Because reminding you means I get to see you discover things fresh every time. I get to watch you fall in love with me over and over. Most men only get one chance at that. I get a lifetime of chances." She kissed him then, and the kiss was both brand new and achingly familiar. Her body remembered what her mind did not, leaning into him, fitting against him perfectly. They were married a week later in a simple ceremony by the creek where he had first found her. Patricia attended, grudgingly, but her demeanor softened when she saw how Daniel looked at her daughter. Like she was the sun and the moon and every star between. Daniel took Olivia to his cabin in the mountains, a sturdy structure he had built himself. It was simple but well made, with a large fireplace and windows that looked out over valleys and peaks. He carried her over the threshold, and she laughed at the old-fashioned gesture. "Welcome home," he said, setting her down. "It is beautiful." She walked through the space, touching things, learning the layout. "But I should warn you, I will probably get lost in my own house. Then I will find you." He came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Always. The first weeks were an adjustment." Olivia forgot where things were stored. She forgot plans they had made. She forgot conversations from that morning. Daniel never showed frustration. He simply reminded her, patiently, endlessly. "Where are you going?" he would ask when he found her standing in the doorway looking confused. "I cannot remember," she would admit. "Were you getting water, feeding the chickens, looking for me? Maybe the chickens. Here, I will show you." And he would take her hand and walk her through the task, explaining each step. At night, she would wake up and forget where she was, would panic until she felt his arms around her, heard his voice murmuring reassurance. "You are safe. You are home. You are with me." "Daniel," she would test the name. "Yes, love, Daniel, your husband. I forgot again." "I know." "It is all right. I am here." One morning, she woke up and could not remember his name at all. She stared at the man beside her, this huge mountain of muscle and hair and warmth, and felt terror wash over her. Who was he? Where was she? What was happening? He woke when she bolted from the bed, immediately alert. "Olivia, who are you? Why am I here?" She backed against the wall, heart racing. His face showed pain, but his voice stayed calm. "My name is Daniel Crawford. You are my wife. We married 3 weeks ago. You have difficulty with memory, but you are safe. I would never hurt you." "How do I know that is true?" "You do not right now. But look around. See the home I have built. See the care I take with things. Look at your hands, no bruises, no marks. Look at your belongings, placed where you wanted them. I have spent every day since we met proving I am trustworthy. You do not remember those days, but the evidence is here." She looked around the cabin, seeing the truth of his words. Everything was clean, organized, cared for. She was wearing a warm nightgown, well-fed, clearly tended to. Slowly her heartbeat calmed. "Tell me about us," she said. So he did. He told her the whole story, from finding her lost by the creek to their wedding. He told her about her mother, about Thomas, about the accident and the lost memories. He was patient and thorough, and by the end, she felt the truth of it settling into her bones. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I cannot imagine how hard this is for you." "It is hard," he admitted. "But not because of the reminding. That part is easy. It is hard because I hate that you are scared. I hate that you feel lost. But we will get through it together." "What if it gets worse? What if I forget more? Then I will remind you of more." "There is nothing you could forget that I could not help you remember." He crossed the room slowly, giving her space to adjust. "You are not a burden, Olivia. You are my wife, and I love you, memory or no memory." She reached for him, and he pulled her into an embrace that felt like shelter. "How do you have this much patience?" "Because I love you more than I am frustrated by anything, and because you are worth it. Every moment of confusion, every repeated question, every forgotten plan, you are worth all of it." As the seasons changed, Olivia learned to live with her condition. She developed routines, wrote notes to herself, asked Daniel to repeat important information. Some days were better than others. Some days she remembered most of the day, only losing small details. Other days, everything felt new and strange. Daniel adapted with her. He started writing notes too, leaving them where she would find them. Little reminders of love and practicality both. "Gone to check traps, back by afternoon, I love you." Or, "Bread is in the cupboard left side, you made it yesterday and it is delicious." Or simply, "You are Olivia Crawford. You are my wife. You are safe and loved." She collected these notes, keeping them in a box by the bed. On the worst days, when she woke up not knowing where she was, she would read through them and piece together her life. One afternoon, she was gathering eggs when she forgot what she was doing. She stood in the chicken coop, basket in hand, completely blank. Daniel found her there an hour later, still standing, looking lost. "Olivia," he approached gently. "What is wrong? I do not know what I am doing here. You are collecting eggs, see." He pointed to the basket, to the chickens, to the nests. "You do this every afternoon." "Do I?" She looked at the basket as though seeing it for the first time. "You do, and you are very good at it. The chickens like you." He took her free hand. "Come on. Let us finish together and then we will have supper." "What are we having?" "Stew. You have been making it all day. It smells wonderful." "I made stew." She could not remember. "You did. I watched you. You chopped vegetables and meat, added herbs. You seemed to know exactly what you were doing." This happened sometimes. Her hands would remember even when her mind did not. She would complete tasks on instinct, then forget she had done them at all. They finished collecting eggs together, and he led her back to the cabin. The stew was indeed bubbling over the fire, rich and fragrant. She ladled it into bowls, and they ate together as the sun set outside the windows. "Daniel," she said after a while. "Yes. What if I forget you completely one day? What if I wake up and cannot remember that I love you?" He set down his spoon and took her hand. "Then I will court you again. I will remind you why you fell in love with me the first time. I will show you who I am, and you will decide fresh whether I am worth loving. But what if I decide differently? Then I will accept that. But I do not think you will, because what we have is not just about memory, Olivia. It is about connection. That thing you felt the first day you saw me after the accident when you did not remember anything. That connection exists beyond memory. It is in your bones, in your soul. You can forget my name, forget our history, forget everything. But when you look at me, you will still feel it. I have faith in that. Tears streamed down her face. I wish I could remember how we fell in love the first time. I remember for both of us, and when you are ready, I will tell you every detail. But Olivia, what we are doing now, building a life together even with this challenge, this is better than any memory. This is us falling in love again every single day, and I would not trade that for anything. Winter came hard to the mountains that year. Snow piled high around the cabin, and Daniel worked constantly to keep them supplied with wood and food. Olivia tried to help, but the cold seemed to make her memory worse. She would forget where she was going between the house and the barn. She would forget what she had gone outside to do. Once Daniel found her in the snow, just standing, looking confused and cold. "Olivia, what are you doing out here?" He wrapped his coat around her, his breath misting in the freezing air. "I do not know. I was inside and then I was here. You are freezing, come on." He picked her up easily, cradling her against his chest, and carried her back inside. He sat her by the fire and rubbed warmth back into her hands and feet. "You cannot go outside alone anymore when it is like this. It is too dangerous. You could get lost, freeze to death." "I am sorry. I did not mean to worry you. I know, we just need to take precautions." He fashioned a bell for her to wear around her wrist. "If you go outside, this will ring. I will hear it and know to check on you." "I am a prisoner now," she tried to joke, but it came out bitter. "You are protected." "There is a difference." He knelt before her, taking her hands. "I know this is frustrating. I know you hate feeling limited, but I need you safe more than I need you independent. What kind of life is this for you? Having to watch me constantly, remind me constantly. It is the life I chose. And I choose it again every morning when I wake up next to you." He kissed her forehead. "Stop trying to talk me out of loving you. It will not work." Despite the challenges, there was joy too. Daniel taught her to recognize animal tracks in the snow, and even when she forgot which animal was which, she enjoyed learning again. He taught her to make bread, and though she forgot the recipe between bakings, she loved the feel of dough under her hands. They played checkers by the fire in the evenings, and it did not matter that she could not remember the rules from one game to the next. He reminded her with patience and humor. "Where can I move?" she would ask. "Diagonal. See, like this." "Oh, how do I win?" "By capturing all my pieces or blocking me from moving." "Have I ever won?" "3 times. You are getting better." "Really?" She would light up at the praise. "Really? You have a mind for strategy, even if you do not remember having won." Some nights, they would lie in bed and he would tell her stories about their courtship, about the things they had done before the accident. She would listen, trying to feel the memories surface, but they never did. Instead, new memories formed. The sound of his voice in the dark. The warmth of his body beside hers. The safety of his presence. "Tell me about the first time you kissed me," she would ask. "It was at the creek, the place where we married. You were talking about how water reflects light differently at different times of day. You were so focused on it, so fascinated. I just watched you, amazed at how beautiful you were when you were interested in something. And then you turned and caught me staring. You asked what I was looking at, and I said the most fascinating thing I had ever seen. You laughed and said it was just water, and I said no, it was you. Then I kissed you. What did I do? You kissed me back. And then you forgot we had kissed and looked confused when I asked if I could do it again. So I did, and you kissed me back again. We probably kissed 4 or 5 times that afternoon because you kept forgetting we had." She laughed at that. "That sounds like me. It was perfect. Every first kiss is special, but I got several of them. You really do see the positive in everything, do not you, when it comes to you?" Always. Spring arrived slowly, the snow melting to reveal new grass and early flowers. Olivia's memory did not improve, but she learned to manage better. She kept a journal where she wrote down the day's events each night, so she could read it each morning and orient herself. Daniel added to it sometimes, writing little notes about things she should remember. April 12, 1876. You fed the chickens this morning and collected 8 eggs, a record. You made bread and it rose perfectly. We saw a bear from the window, kept our distance. Daniel says he loves you. You believe him. Reading her own handwriting helped ground her. Some mornings she would wake up and the confusion would be immediate, total. She would not know where she was, who the man beside her was, what was happening. But she would reach for the journal on the bedside table, and she would read, and slowly the pieces would come together. Daniel always woke when she did, some instinct alerting him to her consciousness. He would lie still, giving her time to read, to remember, to settle. Only when she set the journal down would he reach for her. "Good morning," he would say, "good morning." And she would turn to him, seeing him fresh, and feel that pull of recognition that had nothing to do with memory. "You know me today?" Sometimes she would say yes, sometimes no. Always he would tell her, "I am Daniel Crawford, your husband, I love you," and always she would believe him. One morning in late spring she woke up and felt different. She lay still, assessing, and realized she remembered the day before. All of it. Feeding chickens, making bread, seeing the bear, going to bed beside Daniel. The memories were intact, solid, real. Daniel. She shook him awake. He sat up immediately, alert. "What is wrong?" "I remember yesterday," he blinked. "What?" "I remember all of yesterday, everything we did." "I remember." The wonder in her voice matched the hope blooming on his face. "Are you certain?" "Yes. I woke up and I just knew. I remember yesterday and I remember the day before, I think. It is hazy, but there. Daniel, what if my memory is coming back?" He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. "That would be wonderful. But even if it is not, even if this is just one good day, I am grateful for it." But it was not just one day. Her memory continued to improve slowly over the following weeks. She still forgot things, still had moments of confusion, but the worst of it seemed to be lifting. She could remember conversations, remember plans, remember the accumulation of days into a life. "I think the cold made it worse," she told Daniel one evening. "The winter, being cooped up inside. Now that I can be outside more, see more, do more, it is easier to form memories. Or maybe your mind just needed time to heal. Either way, I am glad. Are you? Now you do not get to court me fresh every day." He laughed, pulling her into his lap. "I will survive the loss. Besides, you still forget where you put things. This morning you spent 20 minutes looking for a spoon that was in your hand." "That is true." She leaned her head against his shoulder. "I will probably always be forgetful, Daniel. Even if the worst of this is over, I am not going to suddenly become organized and reliable. Good. I have gotten used to finding you in random places, looking confused. It keeps life interesting. You are ridiculous. I am in love." She turned to kiss him, and the kiss deepened into something heated and urgent. They had been intimate before, many times, but each time felt new in its own way. Sometimes she remembered their previous encounters, sometimes not. Tonight she remembered, and it added a richness to the experience. She knew what he liked, what she liked, how their bodies fit together. Afterward, lying tangled together in the bed, she traced patterns on his chest. "Do you remember what I said when you proposed? The second time after the accident, you said yes." "I said yes because it felt right." Because something in me knew you were good and safe and true, even though I could not remember you. I want you to know that I would choose you even with full memory. Even knowing all the challenges my condition brings, I would still choose you. I know." He kissed her temple. "Because I know you, Olivia, all of you. The parts that remember and the parts that forget. And all of you is exactly who I want." Summer brought more improvements. There were still bad days, days when she woke up confused or forgot large chunks of time, but they were becoming less frequent. She could plan ahead now, could remember instructions, could function more independently. Daniel still reminded her of things, still left notes, still checked on her regularly, but it was less frantic, less desperate. "I am going to town for supplies," he told her one morning. "I should be back by evening. Will you be all right alone?" "I think so. I have my journal and I will write down what I do. If I forget, I can rate it. I will leave you notes too. And Mrs. Henderson said she would stop by around lunch to check on you." "I will be fine, Daniel. I am better now." "I know, I just worry." He kissed her long and deep. "I love you. I love you too. Be safe." After he left, Olivia went about her chores. She fed the chickens, tended the garden, did some washing. Mrs. Henderson did indeed stop by, bringing fresh bread and gossip from town. They had tea together, and Olivia was pleased to discover she remembered the older woman's name without having to check her notes. "You are doing so well, dear," Mrs. Henderson said. "When Daniel first brought you up here, we all worried, but you have adapted beautifully. Daniel makes it easy. He has been so patient. That man loves you more than life itself. Anyone can see it. You are lucky. I know. I remind myself every day." After Mrs. Henderson left, Olivia returned to her tasks. She was pulling weeds in the garden when she heard a horse approach. For a moment her heart leaped, thinking Daniel had returned early. But the horse that came into view was not his massive draft animal. It was a sleeker beast, and the man riding it was Thomas Whitmore. Olivia stood slowly, wiping dirt from her hands. She had not seen Thomas since she had broken their engagement nearly a year ago. He looked older, harder, his mouth pressed into a thin line. "Mr. Whitmore, this is unexpected." He dismounted, tying his horse to the post. "Mrs. Crawford." The name was bitter in his mouth. "You are looking well." "Thank you. What brings you here?" "Curiosity, mostly. I wanted to see if the rumors were true, that you have recovered, that your memory is returning." "It is returning, yes, slowly but surely." "How convenient for you." He stepped closer and she held her ground. "Tell me, did you ever truly lose your memory? Or was it all an act to escape our engagement?" "It was real. It is real. I still struggle. But not enough to stop you from running off with that mountain man. Not enough to stop you from making a fool of me in front of the entire town." His anger was sharp and hot. "I did not mean to hurt you, Thomas. I just could not marry you, because of him, because you thought a savage was better than me. Daniel is not a savage. He is a good man who loves me, who accepts me as I am, memory problems and all. He settled your mother's debts with fur money. Do you know what people say about that? That I was too proper to compete with wild gold, that he bought you like property. He freed me. There is a difference." Thomas grabbed her arm and she tried to pull away, but his grip was iron. "You owed me, Olivia. I waited for you. I put up with your confusion and your forgetfulness. I was going to give you a good life. Let go of me." "Not until you understand what you took from me, my pride, my reputation, my investment." I said let go. She wrenched free, stumbling back. He advanced and she saw the violence in his eyes. The wounded pride turned dangerous. She backed toward the cabin, heart racing. Where was Daniel? How long until he returned? "You always were simple," Thomas said. "I should have known you were too stupid to appreciate what I was offering. Maybe Crawford deserves the burden of you after all. Maybe watching you forget everything will be punishment enough for stealing what was mine." I was never yours. Olivia reached the cabin door, hand on the handle. You were going to be. That is close enough. He lunged for her. She got the door open and ran inside, slamming it behind her. But Thomas was faster, stronger. He shouldered through and she scrambled backward, looking for something, anything to defend herself with. Her hand closed on a cast iron skillet. Stay back, she warned, raising it. He laughed. What are you going to do? You will forget you hit me before I hit the ground. Maybe, but it will still hurt. He rushed her and she swung. The skillet connected with his shoulder, not his head, but hard enough to stagger him. She swung again, and this time he caught it, yanking it from her hands. The momentum pulled her forward and he backhanded her across the face. Olivia crashed to the floor, tasting blood. Through ringing ears she heard Thomas breathing hard above her. You should have married me. Would have been easier for everyone. The door exploded inward. Daniel filled the frame and the fury on his face was terrifying. He took in the scene in an instant. Olivia on the floor, blood on her lip, Thomas standing over her with the skillet. What happened next was fast and brutal. Daniel crossed the room in 2 strides and hit Thomas once, a devastating blow that sent the smaller man sprawling. The skillet clattered across the floor. Daniel did not stop. He hauled Thomas up by his shirt and hit him again and again, raw rage in every movement. Daniel, stop. Olivia scrambled to her feet. You will kill him. He stopped, fist drawn back for another blow, Thomas barely conscious in his grip. Slowly, Daniel released him, letting him drop to the floor. Then he turned to Olivia and the rage melted into concern. Are you all right? I am fine. He just hit me once. Daniel crossed to her, touching her face gently where a bruise was already forming. Once is enough. His voice was shaking with suppressed violence. How did you know to come back? I forgot something, turned around, saw his horse. He looked back at Thomas, who was groaning on the floor. Get up, get on your horse. If I ever see you near my wife again, I will not stop. Thomas dragged himself to his feet, spitting blood. You are animals, both of you. Get out. Thomas stumbled outside and they heard him ride away. Only then did Daniel pull Olivia into his arms, holding her tight enough to hurt. I should have been here. I should have protected you. You did protect me. You came back. I am fine. If I had been even 5 minutes later, he could not finish the sentence. But you were not. I am safe. We are safe. She pulled back to look at him. Daniel, I am all right. See, just a bruise, nothing broken. He touched her face again, feather light. I will kill him if he comes back. He will not come back. He was just angry and wounded in his pride. He wanted to hurt me with words, maybe scare me. I do not think he actually intended violence. He hit you. And you hit him harder. It is over. They reported the incident to the sheriff when they went to town the next week. Thomas had already left Hayes City, moved to another town rather than face the shame of what he had done. The sheriff promised to spread word that he was not welcome back. Men and their pride, Patricia said when she heard. She had come to visit, bringing supplies and gossip. Her relationship with Olivia and Daniel had thawed considerably over the past year. She still thought her daughter could have done better, but she could not deny that Daniel made Olivia happy. Thomas always did have a cruel streak under that polish. I am glad she refused him, Daniel said. Even if I had not been in the picture, she deserved better. Patricia looked at him with grudging respect. You take good care of her. I try. Better than I thought you would, if I am honest. I thought you would grow tired of her forgetfulness, lose patience with her limitations. But you have not. I will not. How can you be certain? It has barely been a year. What about in 5 years? 10, when she is still forgetting things and asking the same questions? Daniel met her eyes steadily. Then I will still be answering. Love is not something you do when it is easy, Mrs. Lancaster. It is what you do when it is hard that proves it is real. Patricia nodded slowly. Perhaps I was wrong about you. Perhaps you were. Life settled into a comfortable rhythm after that. Olivia's memory continued to improve, though she accepted it would never be perfect. She still forgot where she put things, still lost track of time, still had days where everything felt hazy. But the worst of it was behind her. She could remember her life now, could build on the foundation of each day instead of starting fresh each morning. She and Daniel made plans. They wanted children, wanted to expand the cabin, wanted to build a life that would last generations. He taught her to trap and hunt, and though she forgot the specifics between lessons, she enjoyed learning. She taught him to appreciate stillness, to notice the small beauties he usually walked past in his hurry to complete tasks. "What are you looking at?" he asked one afternoon, finding her crouched by the creek. "The way the light comes through the water and makes patterns on the rocks below. See how it shifts and dances. It is never the same twice." He crouched beside her, looking. "I never noticed that before. Because you are always thinking about the next thing, but the present moment has so much beauty if you just stop and see it. Is that why you forget things? Because you are too busy noticing the present, maybe." She leaned against him. "I cannot hold on to the past, so I hold on to now. It is not a bad way to live, actually." "No," he agreed. "It is not." That fall, Olivia realized she was pregnant. The knowledge filled her with equal parts joy and terror. What if I forget I am pregnant? What if I hurt the baby because I forgot? You will not. Your body will remember even if your mind does not, and I will be here, reminding you, protecting both of you. Daniel placed his hand on her still flat stomach. "We can do this. What if I am a terrible mother? What if I forget to feed the baby or forget where I put it down? Then I will be there to help, and you will learn just like you learned everything else. You are stronger than you think, Olivia." The pregnancy progressed well. Olivia did forget sometimes, would wake up and be startled by her changing body. But Daniel was patient, explaining, showing her the notes they had made tracking the months. Her mother visited more frequently, helping prepare for the baby, mending their relationship stitch by stitch. "I am sorry I pushed you toward Thomas," Patricia said one afternoon as they sewed baby clothes. "I thought security was more important than love. I was wrong. You were trying to protect me in the way you thought best. I was trying to save myself from poverty and called it protection. There is a difference." Patricia set down her sewing. "You are happy with Daniel, truly happy. I can see that now, and he is good to you in ways I did not think mattered. But they do matter. They are all that matters. Thank you for saying that. I wish I had said it sooner. I wish I had trusted you to know your own heart." "My heart forgot itself. But Daniel remembered for me." Patricia smiled. "He is a good man. You chose well, even when you did not remember choosing at all." When Olivia went into labor, it was long and hard. She forgot what was happening several times, panic setting in until Daniel reminded her, steady and calm. "You are having our baby. You are doing wonderfully. Just breathe." "I cannot do this." "You can. You are. Just a little longer." The midwife, brought up from town, worked efficiently while Daniel held Olivia's hand and wiped her forehead and murmured encouragement. When the baby finally came, a healthy boy with a strong cry, Daniel wept openly. "A son," he said, holding the tiny bundle like it was made of glass. "We have a son." "What should we name him?" Olivia asked, exhausted but elated. "What about James, after your father, James Crawford? I like that." She touched the baby's tiny fist, marveling. "Hello, James, I am your mother. I might forget things sometimes, but I will never forget that I love you." Motherhood was as challenging as she had feared and as rewarding as she had hoped. She did forget sometimes, would panic when she could not remember if she had fed the baby, would lose track of time while staring at him sleep. But her body remembered much of what her mind did not. Nursing came naturally, Soothing him felt instinctive. And Daniel was always there, backing her up, reminding her, reassuring her. "Did I feed him?" she would ask, "an hour ago. He will want to eat again soon, but you have time. Did I change him? You did. See, he is clean and dry. What if I am a terrible mother? You are a wonderful mother. Look at him. He is healthy and happy and loved. That is all that matters." James thrived. As he grew, he learned to work with his mother's limitations. When he was old enough to talk, he would remind her of things without being asked. "Mama, it is lunchtime. Papa said you were making stew." Or, "Mama, you put my toy in the basket by the door." He was patient like his father, loving like his mother. Olivia worried he would resent her forgetfulness, but he never did. "All mothers are different," Daniel told him when he was old enough to understand. "Your mother's mind works in a special way. She might forget things, but she feels things more deeply than anyone I know. That is a gift." "So I should not be mad when she forgets my name?" James asked. "She does not forget your name. She might forget she said it or forget what she was going to tell you, but she knows who you are, deep down always." And it was true. Even on her worst days, when confusion reigned and memories scattered, Olivia knew her son, knew her husband, knew her home. The important things stayed, written on her heart in permanent ink. They had 2 more children over the next several years. Another boy named Peter, and finally a girl they named Grace. The cabin expanded, rooms added to accommodate the growing family. Daniel built furniture, and Olivia sewed clothes, and the children ran wild in the mountains, strong and free. Patricia moved up to live with them when her health began to fail. She spent her final years surrounded by grandchildren and the daughter she had almost lost to her own ambitions. "I am glad you forgot," she told Olivia one evening. "I know that sounds terrible, but if you had not forgotten, you would have married Thomas out of duty to me. You would have been miserable. The accident, the memory loss, it set you free." "It was hard," Olivia said. "It still is sometimes. But you have love, real, genuine love, that is worth any hardship." Patricia took her hand. "I am proud of you. I should have said that more. You are saying it now. That is enough." Patricia passed peacefully in her sleep a few weeks later, content and surrounded by family. They buried her on the property, in a spot overlooking the valley where wildflowers grew thick every spring. Years passed, each one layering over the last like sediment forming stone. Olivia's memory never fully returned to what others might call normal, but it stabilized. She learned to work with her mind instead of against it. She kept journals obsessively, wrote notes everywhere, developed systems. And when those systems failed, Daniel was there to fill the gaps. "Where are my glasses?" she would ask. "On your head," he would answer without looking up from his work. "What day is it?" "Thursday." "What was I doing?" "Making bread." "The dough is rising by the fire." "Thank you, always." Their children grew and eventually left to build their own lives, though they stayed close. James became a trapper like his father, Peter a rancher, Grace a teacher in town. They all married, had children of their own, brought those children to visit grandparents who loved them fiercely. On their 20th wedding anniversary, Daniel took Olivia back to the creek where they had first met, where he had married her all those years ago. They were older now, lines on their faces and silver in their hair, but the connection between them was as strong as ever. "Do you remember this place?" he asked. "I do. You found me here lost and crying." "I did. Best day of my life. Even though I have made you repeat yourself 1,000 times, even though I forget things constantly, even though I am difficult and frustrating, especially because of all that." He took her hands. "You have made me more patient, more present, more aware of what truly matters. You have taught me that love is not about perfection. It is about showing up every day and choosing each other again and again." I do not remember much from before the accident. I probably never will. But everything after, everything we have built together, that is written in permanent ink. You have given me a life worth remembering, and then you have helped me remember it. How could I not love you for that? How could I not love you? You are brilliant and brave and beautiful. You notice things others miss. You feel deeply. You love with your whole heart. Yes, you forget things, but you also remember what matters. Our children's laughter, the way light looks on water, the feeling of home, those are the important memories. She kissed him then, under the cottonwood trees, by the water where their story had begun. 20 years of marriage, of patience, of endless love. 20 years of reminding and being reminded, of forgetting and being found, of losing track and being guided home. I might forget this moment by tomorrow, she whispered. Then I will tell you about it. I will tell you how beautiful you looked, how right this felt, how much I love you. And I will keep telling you every time you forget for as long as we live. That sounds exhausting. That sounds like love. They walked back to the cabin as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Their grandchildren were visiting, filling the house with noise and chaos and joy. There was dinner to make, stories to tell, life to live. Olivia paused at the door, turning to Daniel. "What is your name?" He smiled, patient as always. "Daniel Crawford." "And who am I?" "You are Olivia Crawford, my wife, the love of my life, the mother of my children and the grandmother of my grandchildren. You are strong and kind and forgetful and perfect exactly as you are. Will you remind me if I forget?" Every single time. She believed him, because in 20 years he had never once failed to remind her, never once lost patience, never once made her feel like a burden. He had chosen her, again and again, memory or no memory. He had loved her through confusion and clarity alike, and she loved him back with everything in her, with a love that transcended memory and lived in the deeper places of the heart. The places that did not forget. The places that knew him like she knew the rhythm of her own breathing. They went inside together, into the warmth and noise and love of their family. And if Olivia forgot some of what happened that evening, Daniel was there to remind her the next morning over coffee with patience and endless love. The years continued to pass, each one a gift. They grew old together, their bodies slowing while their love remained constant. The forgetting was just part of their story now, not a tragedy but simply a fact. Like Daniel's bad knee from an old trapping accident, or Olivia's preference for wildflowers over garden roses, just part of who they were. On Daniel's 65th birthday, the whole family gathered. Children and grandchildren, and even a few great-grandchildren filled every room of the sprawling cabin. There was music and dancing, food and laughter. Olivia watched Daniel hold a great-grandson on his knee, telling stories about trapping in the high country, and her heart swelled with love so fierce it was almost painful. James came to stand beside her, now a middle-aged man with his father's build and his mother's eyes. "You two make it look easy, marriage." "It is not easy," Olivia said, "but it is worth it. Your father has spent 45 years reminding me of things. He has never once complained." "That is because he loves you more than anything in the world. We all see it. I know, I am very lucky." "We all are. You and Papa built something good here, something that will last long after you are gone." Later, after the party wound down and the guests departed, Olivia and Daniel sat on the porch watching stars emerge. The night was clear and cold, autumn giving way to winter. "Do you know what today is?" Daniel asked. "Your birthday." "Good, you remembered. I wrote it down, and James reminded me, and I made you a cake, though I cannot remember if it was any good." "It was delicious. Everything you make is delicious, liar." "Last week I put salt instead of sugar in the cookies." They were interesting cookies. He pulled her closer. Olivia, do you ever regret it, marrying me, living up here so isolated? Never. Do you? You could have had a normal wife who remembered things. And missed out on getting to tell you I love you for the first time every time you forget. I do not think so. She laughed. You are ridiculous. I am in love, still, after all these years. Me too, still. Always. They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the night sounds of the forest, feeling the rightness of being together. This was home. This was love. This was enough. When Olivia was 70 years old, she had a stroke. It was mild, but it affected her memory even more severely. She spent weeks barely knowing where she was, who anyone was, existing in a fog of confusion. Daniel never left her side. He slept in the chair beside her bed, held her hand, talked to her constantly even when she did not respond. I am Daniel, he would say. Your husband, I love you, you are safe. Sometimes she knew him. Sometimes she did not. But always she felt comforted by his presence, by the deep voice and gentle hands and unwavering patience. Gradually she improved. The fog lifted, and though her memory was worse than before, she could function again. She could recognize family, engage in conversation, participate in life. The fear that she would lose herself completely receded. I thought I was gone, she told Daniel one evening. When I was in the fog, I thought I had finally forgotten so much that there was nothing left of me. You were always there. Even when you could not speak, could not respond, I could see you in your eyes. You never left. How do you do it? How do you keep loving me when I am like this? Because you are not like this. You are Olivia. My Olivia. The woman I fell in love with 50 years ago. You are still in there, still brilliant and brave and beautiful. The forgetting does not change that. I am scared, Daniel, scared of losing more, scared of forgetting you entirely, scared of becoming a burden. Then I will be scared with you, but Olivia, listen to me. You could forget everything, every memory we ever made, everyone you ever loved, and I would still be here. I would still be yours. That is what I promised when I married you, and it is a promise I will keep until my last breath. Tears streamed down her face. I do not deserve you. You deserve everything good in the world, and I am just lucky enough to be the one who gets to give it to you. They held each other as night fell. Two old people who had loved each other through every trial, every hardship, every moment of forgetting and remembering. Two people who had built a life on patience and faith and the kind of love that endures. Daniel lived to be 78 years old. When he passed, it was peacefully in his sleep, with Olivia beside him. She woke to find him gone and knew immediately what had happened. For a moment, the grief was so overwhelming she could not breathe. Then she felt his presence still in the room, felt the love that had surrounded her for 5 decades, and she knew he had not really left. The family gathered for the funeral, supporting Olivia through her grief. She was lost without him, fumbling through days that had no shape. She would forget he was gone, would set 2 places at the table, would call for him when she needed help. Each time she remembered anew that he was dead, the grief struck fresh and sharp. But James and Peter and Grace stayed close, helping her adjust, reminding her gently when she forgot. Papa is gone, Mama, but we are here. We will take care of you. She lived 3 more years, those years colored by absence but also by gratitude for what had been. She filled her time with grandchildren and great-grandchildren, with the garden Daniel had planted for her, with reading the journals they had kept together. On good days, she remembered most of her life. On bad days, she lived in the present moment, which was not so bad a place to be. One morning, Grace came to wake her and found her peaceful in bed, a smile on her face, her hand clutching the carved swallow Daniel had made for her so many decades before. They buried her beside him, in the spot overlooking the valley where wildflowers grew. The whole family attended, 3 generations of people who existed, because Olivia had forgotten her wedding to Thomas Whitmore, and Daniel had loved her anyway. Because a mountain man had seen past her limitations to the brilliant woman beneath. Because patience and endless love had built something that death could not diminish. James gave the eulogy, his voice strong despite his tears. My mother forgot things. Everyone knew that. It was just part of who she was. But my father never forgot anything about her. He remembered for her, reminded her, loved her through every moment of confusion. Together they were complete. They showed us what real love looks like. Not the easy kind, but the kind that chooses to show up every single day, no matter how hard. The kind that says, I will remind you, and means it forever. They gave us all a gift with their love. And now they are together again, and maybe now Mama does not need reminding anymore. Maybe now she remembers everything, clear and perfect and whole. But if she does not, we know Papa is there, patient as ever, ready to tell her again. You are Olivia Crawford. You are my wife. I love you, and she will believe him like she always did, because some truths lie deeper than memory. The funeral ended, but the story did not. It lived on in the children and grandchildren, in the great-grandchildren, and those who would come after. It lived in the cabin they had built, expanded and cherished over decades. It lived in the journals filled with notes and reminders and love. It lived in the example they had set of what commitment truly meant. Forgetting had been frustrating, yes. But it had also been the crucible that refined their love into something pure and unshakable. Because Daniel had reminded Olivia, with patience and endless love, not just of who she was, but of who they were together. And that was a story worth remembering, worth retelling, worth living. A story that proved love could transcend any limitation, overcome any obstacle, last beyond any forgetting. A story that ended not with loss, but with the knowledge that what they had built together would endure, remembered or not, forever written on the hearts of all who had known them. Their love was the legacy, and it would never be forgotten.